Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Empowerment Tribe, where we talk about self-empowerment through self-realization and self-actualization. My name is Michelle Fondin. I'm the author of 11 published books, including The Empowered Divine Feminine, Becoming an Unstoppable Woman in the 21st Century and Beyond, and Help, I Think My Loved One is an Alcoholic, a survival guide for lovers, family, and friends. The reason why I'm featuring these two books in this video is because it is very pertinent to this topic today, which is the quickest way to self-empowerment. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving video a thumbs up. I do tarot and astrology readings. You can book that below at my website, michellefondinauthor.com. Welcome to the category Empowering Thoughts, where we explore a topic that helps you to become more empowered in your thinking. And today's topic is really the quickest way to the feeling of self-empowerment. And this is something that I learned way back when I was dating an alcoholic person. And then it's something that has developed over time. Now, I was in that relationship until 2018. Between 2013 and 2018, I learned about this concept probably around the year 2014. It has been a work in progress, a development in progress, but I will assure you that if you follow this, if you just do like a 3-day cure, if you will, if you do this for 3 days and it starts to click with you, you will realize how empowered you will feel. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? We're going to tell the concept and then we're going to give some examples and some clues as to how to do this. I am here with my Grogu tumbler. It does not have Ticino tea, which usually it does have in it. It's scorching today. It's like close to 90 degrees here in Southern California, but I do have my two mascots, Gudetama and Grogu. So here is our concept for today. It is staying in your lane. Staying in your lane. Now, what does that mean? I'm sure you have heard people say that. Just stay in your lane. Just mind your own business. Just stay in your lane. Just mind your own business. But let's dig a little deeper into actually what that means when we're talking about self-empowerment. In the realm of self-empowerment, we're talking about self-love, self-respect, self-worth, and improving those aspects onto yourself so that you feel stronger and stronger as you go about your day. However, if you are attracted to this channel, it is likely that you have come into this world as an enlightened soul, as a light worker, as an empath, or someone who really cares about people in the world. But that comes with its set of problems. One of the main problems it comes with is this concept of wanting or caring more about others than you do about yourself. And so we come very hardwired as light workers to want to fix others, to improve others, to help them in their woes, to help them in their sorrows, to help them in their struggles in life. And all too often we forget about ourselves, and it's this constant push-pull against trying to help others, wanting to help others, yearning to help others, and ignoring our own needs, wants, and desires, which then creates more of this wanting to control our environment, controlling other people, controlling outer circumstances. And we feel that if we do that, we will feel better. And so we worry about others, such as our children, for example. We worry about our children. We want our children to be in the best programs, the best schools, have the best friendships. We want to make sure that we are on top of things, that they're scheduled with play dates and soccer camps and music camps, or any of those things that are going to help our children move through life in a smoother way. But as we're doing this, as we're really hyper-focused on our kids, for example, or our spouse or significant other, or we're hyper-focused on pleasing our boss or our colleagues, we move away from the things that truly make us feel happy, fulfilled, healthy, and well. And when I introduced this concept, which is not new, but introduce this concept of staying in your lane, it's that rather than thinking about others in that obsessive way where You feel like you need to be an influence on their lives, even your children's lives, or you need to fix things or make things easier for them or do extra chores in order to make their life easier. You are increasingly making your life more difficult and disconnecting from what you want and who you truly are. This often comes disguised as people pleasing, and you are probably well aware of this concept of people pleasing because it's likely that you have suffered from this, where you really want your relationships to work. You want your relationships with your kids and your spouse and your colleagues and your boss and your friends to work. You want relationships with your neighbors to work. You want it so badly that you're almost willing to sacrifice yourself in order to make that happen. And so you morph accordingly to what others want to please them because you feel like in doing so, you're being a good person. And often you are last on your list. And since you are last on your list, you're feeling lack and you're feeling desperation and you're feeling self-pity and you're feeling anger and frustration. And you're suppressing all of these feelings because you know you're a good person. You want to be a good person. You want to help out. But then you keep going back into that cycle of wanting to do more and more and more for other people rather than doing for yourself. Now, here is the key. When you respect yourself and do more for yourself than you do for other people, in the way of nurturing yourself, giving yourself what you want, need, and desire, giving yourself some self-care, self-love, giving yourself some space to relax, space to do recreational activities, space to do things that you truly want to do. When you do that, the relationships that you've generally been chasing or controlling because you've been doing too much for them, generally those relationships will evolve into a better way. Things will get better. And if they don't get better, those relationships will end or they will morph into something else. I know this for me, for example, that for me as a mother, I was a mother who did a lot for her children. Now, I gave my children a fair amount of space because it's something that I wanted growing up. I wanted that freedom. I wanted that space. I wanted to make my own decisions. But when it came to obligations like chores or contributing to the family so that life was easier for all the family members, I wasn't very good at that. And I hadn't learned that early on. So I was the one who took on most of the burden. And that created a lot more resentment, not toward my children, but resentment for the fact that I was ending up doing all these chores and all these things. And my kids were off having fun or they were playing video games, so they're off doing their own thing. And it's because I felt like I couldn't motivate them to do those things that I would have liked them to do. In the same way, if you're dating a person or if you're in a relationship with a person and you're going above and beyond and doing more for them or trying to fix their lives or trying to make their lives easier or better or more efficient, increasingly as you do this, you become more and more disempowered because you are hyper-focused on their life without being focused on your life. And again, the person that you're dating, the person you're in a relationship with is likely not wanting you to be so hyper-focused on their life because they need to be hyper-focused on their life. And they're really wanting you to nurture yourself, to care for yourself, to get into groups and activities and hobbies that please you so that you come to the relationship more refreshed. Now, this is a really challenging thing to do. I say it's the quickest way to empowerment, which it is, but it is extremely challenging to do if you're not accustomed to doing it. I found myself worrying about my son excessively as he is my youngest. He turned 20 in November of last year. He has a full-time job. He has a bunch of friends, and he's often out late at night, but he gets up early for work the next day. And I found myself increasingly worrying about him. Is he getting enough sleep? Is he eating properly? And that became a little bit obsessive. And I realized that those thoughts were not serving me. They were making me anxious and upset. And they were not serving him because the communications that came through to him were filled with my anxiety. And in reality, he's an adult and he does need to make his own decisions and he does need to make mistakes. That's how we learn. We learn through our own mistakes. And so once I realized that I was doing this, I was putting my anxiety on him by texting him and saying, hey, like, how late are you going to stay out? What time are you coming home? Are you sure you're getting enough sleep? I realized that that was on him. And if he was too tired to wake up for work the next day, he would need to figure that out on his own. It wasn't by me trying to control the situation or manipulate the situation or give him a heads up that the situation was necessarily going to get better. In fact, that would have probably backfired because most people don't like to be told what to do. Do you like to be told what to do? I know I don't. So since we don't like to be told what to do, it doesn't matter who that source of information is coming from, it's usually going to backfire. In the same way, if you're excessively worried about your spouse, your romantic partner, and you're trying to figure out how to make their lives easier, oh, you know what? I'll just pick up their dry cleaning, or I'll just go get them a Starbucks in the morning, or I'll just do this for them. I want to make their life easier. You're really not giving them the space to be able to make life easier for you. If you're just constantly doing. Now that could stem from many things. It could stem from fear of loss, like fear that if I don't do these things, then they will leave me or they might not love me as much. So just going back to your own insecurities and why do you feel you have to do things in excess for the person you're in a relationship with? That's one example. Another example is something I do mention in this book, The Empowered Divine Feminine, in the chapter on romantic relationships. And a lot of times we come into relationships for the wrong reasons. We're not always conscious of this in the beginning of the relationship. But as we move through the relationship, it becomes clearer and clearer and clearer that we've come into the relationship for the wrong reasons. Let me give you an example. So if you're in a relationship with someone who is constantly unemployed and you're employed and you find yourself financially supporting this person, then you came into that relationship for the wrong reasons, meaning you wanted to fix them or help them or be their guidance into having a better career. Or if you've come into a relationship with an alcoholic person, and that would really pertain to this book, Help, I Think My Loved One is an Alcoholic. And I know this firsthand because I was in a relationship with an alcoholic person for 5.5 years and made many mistakes along the way, but I learned so much along the way as well. But if you're in a relationship with an addict, for example, you've come into that relationship for the wrong reason. And it's usually a very codependent relationship in which you play a role where you're trying to control or manipulate the other person into wellness, and they are trying to control or manipulate you into taking away love or affection if you don't give them what they want, which is the alcohol or drugs. When you find yourself in this situation, the best course of action is to move back into your lane. And by moving back into your lane, what I am talking about is, what do I want? What do I need? What do I desire? And how am I feeling? And so as soon as you find this compulsion, because it is a compulsion if you're an empath light worker, if you're a sensitive soul, if you've been accustomed to serving others more than yourself, first, right? I'm not saying to not serve others, but if you are not full of what you need, then you come to serve others from an emptier place that just gets more and more empty. And it's at that point where you feel disempowered. So going back to your lane, coming into your lane, it's constantly doing a self-check. So I'll give the example of me worrying about my kid. If I start to think worried thoughts about my kid, I go back to myself and go, how am I feeling? What do I need? What do I want? What do I desire? How can I self-soothe? How can I soothe myself if I start to worry about one of my kids? And that always cuts it short because I'm moving back into my lane instead of moving into somebody else's lane and trying to take over their lane. That never works. It never works. We think it might work, but that really comes from a place of deep-seated insecurity in us. Because if we feel we need to control our environment, and that includes other people, if we feel we need to control our environment, that is always from a place of insecurity. That is always from a place of not trusting in your higher power, your higher source, your higher spiritual self, and that you have a purpose in life, and that each individual has a purpose in life, and that they are in charge of their individual purposes, and that you are not in charge of them. To put it in another way, when I have coached people in my coaching sessions, and we're talking about lovers, twin flames, soulmates, their significant other, I have always said to them, you are not that person's savior. You are under the misrepresentation of yourself. You are misrepresenting yourself as this person's savior. They have a savior. They have a creator. They have a source, whatever you want to call it. They have a higher spiritual self. They have their higher intuition. You are not that. You are your higher intuition for yourself and your life path and your life purpose, but you are not their higher intuition. Even with your minor kids, let's talk about kids that are under the age of 18. You can certainly guide them and give them a choice or two. Usually it's best to give them two options, A or B, when they're really young, but you're empowering them to choose their path. Even if it's not one you would choose, it's their life. Again, they need to make their choices and mistakes and stumble and fall and get up and be proud of themselves for getting up. In the same way, when you are being a busybody in other people's lives, whether it's your neighbors, it could be people on social media, it could be people on the TV, it could be people in your immediate environment. But when you are a busybody, so absorbed in other people's lives and other people's affairs, you are failing to focus on the person that truly matters. And that is you and your life and staying in your lane. And the more you refocus on yourself, on your own lane, not rubbernecking and looking at the accident at the side of the road. Don't you get mad about that? Don't you get upset about that? But you do it, right? You might get upset if you're backed up a mile behind the accident. You get mad at all the people in front of you looking at the accident and slowing down traffic or stopping traffic completely. But lo and behold, when you get to that accident, don't you turn your head to look at it? So instead of rubbernecking, looking at what does not concern you, it's important to stay in your lane. This is really the hyper focus of most 12-step recovery groups. It is really the hyper focused piece in that is staying in your own lane, is trusting in a higher power, is trusting in your source, and not focusing on the other person. And when you're able to continually do that and practice it, and I assure you, it's not going to be easy in the first part of this. It's not going to be easy at all. Then you will become stronger and feel more empowered in all aspects of your life, in all aspects, whether you're focusing on a romantic relationship, your job, your career, your colleagues that are beside you on a day-to-day basis, your family, your extended family, your neighbors, or whatever's going on in society. You can't change them anyway, right? You cannot change them anyway. There's no way you can change what's going on in corporations, politics, whatever. You can't change that. It's just you focusing on you and bringing the greatest amount of happiness and fulfillment to what you want, need, desire, and what you're feeling. That is so incredibly important, because when you are full of good feelings because you've been paying attention to yourself and not paying attention to others trying to fix their lives or control their lives or manipulate their lives or give them good advice, right? Or be their savior. When you're refocusing on yourself, you feel so immediately empowered. And just watch it for the next 3 days. If you do this, watch it. Watch your internal reaction when you're focused on others, trying to fix them, manipulate, or control them, or worried about them. And then watch how you feel and how your body feels when you shift that focus back to you. How am I feeling? What do I want? What do I need? What do I desire? And what do I need to do for myself to self-soothe? Do I take myself for a walk? Do I take myself to the gym? Do I go to the forest? Or do I sit by the ocean? Do I get myself a treat? Do I go get an ice cream? How can I make myself feel better? And stop focusing on others as far as trying to fix them or make their lane prettier or better or clear the branches and trees and old worn out tires from their lanes. Just come back to your lane and do all that stuff for yourself. So I hope this was helpful. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with others who could use a little sense of empowerment in their day. And thank you so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can purchase one of my 11 published books. You can book a reading with me or take an online meditation course. And I'll see you in the next video.